Here we are today in the locations of all locations, mate. We are in the Hard Rock Cafe Vault Room. We have got, what have we got? We've got Jimi Hendrix. We're sitting on Jimi Hendrix's seat.
Yep, we've got Slash here.
Slash, Guns N' Roses. We've got
Kiss, Madonna.
We've got Madonna. We've got the Vogue
yeah.
stuff. We've got John Lennon's glasses there. It's just everything. It's
cool setting.
It's cool, isn't it?
It is.
Give me a high five.
You secured a good room.
This was the Queen's vault for her jewellery, and then it became the vault for Princess Diana's wedding dress, and now it's become the vault for the most amazing things.
I should be locked up in here for a while.
It's amazing, isn't it? So today we are interviewing Welsh polo captain Ricky Cooper, and Ricky's going to be telling us a little bit about polo, funny enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Polo, it's a sport that most people don't know about, and a lot of people will be like, that's for posh people.
Yeah, that is very true.
And your background is... tell us a bit. You left school.
Yeah.
Just tell us a bit about your story.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, it does have the reputation for being an elitist sport, etc. But I like to think of it a little bit differently. And I got into polo really with the mindset when I got involved with the Welsh polo team of, helping out charities. We do a lot of charity days. We played this year for prostate cancer. We're doing Centre Ball in Chicago. Help for Heroes is next week.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot to put back into, into the various different charities and using it in the right way and showing that it's accessible as well. I mean, I told you a story earlier where I pulled up at the Gold Cup final this week with a full family. It cost me £40 to get in there. We watched the game from the side. We toured the village, watched fantastic level polo and at no price at all. So it shows you it's accessible to anybody. To play, of course, it's a very different story. You've got to have the horses, and you've got to have the horses as well to get you to a certain level, and they cost a lot of money to maintain.
What if I borrowed my brother's Shetland pony?
Yeah, you wouldn't. You'd have to play against people on dogs.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's basically a sport. So people can just, if they're more interested, they can just sort of rock up there, and you're going to be. We were talking about this earlier. You just got to be nice, fairly well dressed, and sort of.
Yeah, it's just an experience. I mean, really, the people that have been around in polo for a long time, it's funny when you see them at the games, no one's overly dressed or anything else, but the great thing is you can go in jeans, you can go in very well dressed, whatever the occasion. If you want to go and sit and have a sit-down lunch and everything else, fantastic. If you want to just pull up in a car, open the back of the car, sit and watch the game with the family, the kids are running around playing football, etc. You can do so, and it's very inexpensive. And there's a couple of big games. Next week they have the big major game, the Coronation Cup at Guards. They've just played the Gold Cup final. We have the arena polo season in the winter, where you can just pull up and watch games there. All very inexpensive, and I'll be honest with you, it's very welcoming as well. You welcome new spectators, and without that, the game won't flourish, and it will shrivel and die. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not a case of you go there and if you haven't got a palace or something.
Correct. Yeah. Anybody's welcome.
That's the message. There's nobody that sort of God, what is that ruffian doing in there? If they see me in there, mate, will they be like?
You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely.
I thought you were going to say you'll be getting thrown out straight away.
No, never. No. And the great thing is, I mean, look, polo's at a juncture where. Historically, it was run by the military, or it was played by the military, and that's why it's prominent in countries that the British military had a prominence in. And it was played by the aristocracy. Both of those can't afford the levels to keep playing and paying the whole time. So it's got to move on to a new era. And what's happened more recently, there's 4 big forms of polo. You've got the grass polo that we all know and love.
Yeah.
You've got the arena polo, which you can play all year round because the surface is designed for that, right? So you can play in the winter when it's raining, whatever. And it has the boards around it, a bit like an ice hockey rink, a lot more contact, etc. You've got snow polo, and you've got the beach polo. And the idea here, I mean, you look at the beach polo, the snow polo, you get tens of thousands of people turning up at the likes of Sandbanks, where we played 2 weeks ago.
Where is that?
Sandbanks on the south coast of England.
Yeah.
Next to Poole in Dorset. So just down there, I mean, 10,000 people turned up. You have parties, you have various volleyball was on, beach polo was on, and you turn it into a big showcase because what you're trying to do is attract as many people as you can to just say, look, we're here. The sport of polo should be celebrated, and everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
So you turn it into more than just a polo
It's
game.
a nice, because some of my friends, they go out for like a day at the races and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've got their hats and things like that. And polo is just as welcoming as
Absolutely, yeah. So this weekend, I think it's the King George at Ascot, and everybody from all walks of life will be there. The same thing with polo. You play the beach polo, everybody from all walks of life will go there. Some will go there because, they had Trevor Nelson playing on the Saturday night, for instance. Some will go there
I
for that.
interviewed him the other day.
Oh, there you go.
That's a small
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
really good laugh.
he played on the Saturday night, and
Yeah.
some people will go there for that. But the byproduct is you can watch some polo as well, which, if you put polo into those different environments, it'll thrive and it will last. And
Yeah.
if you, let's say you had a roadshow where you play some games in Wales, some games in Newcastle, some games in Scotland, and just bring it to the people, bring it, as part of a party or part of a package, then it will survive and do very well.
Yeah. So, you come out of school. How did you sort of get into it? How old were you when you
Into
started?
polo. Well, I played ice hockey for Great Britain, ice hockey and roller hockey, the inline hockey. For many years, I did, lots of world championships, this type of stuff. So playing all across the world, doing that. And when I came back from Ireland and moved into Sunningdale, and the guy that owned the house where I was living happened to own Ascot Park Polo Club.
Yeah.
And he had 4 daughters that all played polo. They were all getting to the stage where they were moving on, doing other things with their lives. He had a lot of horses there that needed exercise, etc. So I got into it, got into training horses at 5 o'clock in the morning, never ridden before.
Yeah.
And just thought, this is fantastic. And once you get into polo, you just can't get enough of it. You want to play the whole time and ride the whole time. And I was hooked pretty quickly. And then I suppose because you've got some type of physical attributes from playing that level of hockey, and hand-eye coordination and this type of stuff, you cut a few corners and you go from there. But really where the Wales thing started is we're playing a lot of games over at Fonmont Castle and at Cardiff Castle. And there was a guy, Geoffrey, who was known to put on the games for many years. I think it was about 12 years in a row. He put games on in Wales. And we used to play teams, so it was Maserati against Alfa Romeo. And I said to him one time, why don't we start something around the country of Wales? Because that'll have a lot more appeal. You get all of the crowd behind you.
Yeah.
And he gave us that opportunity. And we've taken it to the maximum now, playing all over the world. Playing in the States this year and a couple of times, etc. Scottsdale and Chicago.
Yeah, we've talked before, and it's like, Scottsdale and Aspen, I've been to those places. I love those places. They're so amazing. But sometimes I look at your Facebook posts and you're a jet setter, mate.
Well, yeah. I mean, the good thing is, so next week I go across to Chicago and we do some breakfast TV shows ready for the beach polo, which is played on Lake Michigan. And it's in the middle of September. But it's really just to spread the word of polo, let's be honest, because, again, it's a party on a beach and there's some polo being played at the same time. Now, beach polo, you can imagine with the sand dunes and everything else that's going on, it's not the most simple of games to play, but it's really there just
Do people behave in them sand dunes?
Well, who knows? Who knows? But it's just to give people a tester, to give people a tester of polo and to, everybody loves being around the horses and just being part of that whole scene.
It's pretty cool. You've excelled in ice hockey as well. I mean, the mindset of somebody you've achieved at the highest levels. What would you say to people that are sort of want to achieve something in their lives, whether it's polo, whether it's football, whether it's business? What would you say, like your sort of 3 tips for success are?
Well, first of all, you've got to have that underlying interest.
Yeah.
You've got to be passionate about something. And I would say that it's also then application and practice.
Yeah.
Those are the main things. I I think the reason that we've got so far in terms of polo is because we've got a reason. We've got the charities that we're playing for. We're not using polo to be a bunch of rich guys running around on horses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not from a rich family, and I didn't grow up at private schools, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm showing a great example of I can do this.
Yeah.
And now, you know, we've got...
You're the underdog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now you're becoming the face of polo on an international basis. Yeah. And it's a great position to be in. So you put your mind to something and you have the application. You don't have to be the best player in the world, but the passion is polo, and it's getting, you know, polo out to everybody and showing that it's accessible. That's what it is.
Failure. What would your advice to be to people that are sort of experiencing failure in their life at the moment?
Yeah, well, that comes in many different forms. You know, it could be a relationship, it could be work-related. You're going to have challenges. You know, if you pick 10 people, each one of them will have a challenge in their life at that time. You know, whether, as I say, if it's relationships, house, you know, where you're living, etc., money. There will always be a challenge, and it's really how you cope with that, and your determination to get through it, and having the patience not to settle for anything, but to, you know, come out of it in a much better position that you went in.
You've achieved more than I thought you've achieved, mate. Because you played for Great Britain in ice hockey.
It was ice and roller, but I played some for Wales as well in roller. When they broke the countries down at the Commonwealth Games, they did a demonstration sport up in Manchester some years ago. Yeah,
I don't know if you were at the level that I was with roller skating, because I was at the level at the roller skating disco where I could actually spin around. Could you actually do that?
I did this for 20 years, of course. Yeah, of course. It was good. I was the goalie, so I was in the pads and well protected, and let everybody else do the work.
Yeah.
But we played some great world championships, and we still do. I mean, I still play for the vets that get together. It's the over 38s that get together on a yearly basis. We play Slovakia, Czech Republic, America, Canada. Everybody turns up once a year. Obviously, you've got to go through selection and training and this kind of stuff. But it's great to get everybody back together once a year and still keep playing. But that was, you know, that's very much a personal thing, and it was there as a youngster, you know, keeping you busy and keeping you focused and giving you determination. But the polo side of it now is more about, okay, how do you give something back? And I do that through polo, but also through the running as well. And
you've got how many marathons under your belt?
10 now, and I've got 2 in the next 2 months. So I'll be up to 12.
Bring it in, mate.
Yeah, I'll be up to 12. I'm running one. It's an interesting one. It's called Not the Rio Marathon. And it's at the same day as the Rio Marathon in the Olympics. Yeah. And it's actually at the Olympic Park here in London. So I can imagine it's probably a 2-mile course going round and round and round. I'll be a bit dizzy after that. But I'm using that as preparation because I'm running Loch Ness at the end of September. And doing that for a couple of charities like Mind and Emmy.
Brilliant.
Yeah, which is good.
And because with the mind and stuff like that, that's all to do with mental health.
Yeah.
Massive issue at the moment.
Yeah, so every marathon I've run, it's always linked to a charity. I've done Robin Hood, I've done leukemia, and all of the big ones you can imagine, Scope, and you know many of those Sense, Dreams Come True, this type of thing. But we had a friend pass away earlier this year who suffered from depression, and it's really got me into helping out both ME and into Mind as well.
So you're doing a lot of work for charity, but how would you help? What would you say to people that are going through depression at the moment? You know, I mean, some people. I mean, my family background, my flipping granddad killed himself. My flipping, my mum, she took her life as well. Yeah. I mean, what sort of advice would you give to people? It's a big question, isn't it, mate?
It is, but
it's a big question.
There's levels as well. I mean, when I look at my friend in particular, there's levels because some can have a physical affliction on you as well, like ME.
I just want to let you know that my mum and the granddad, they didn't take their lives because of me, mate.
Oh, bless you.
I'm lovely, I am.
But no, I think some of it can be, you know, a physical affliction that makes you not want to get out of bed every day. Yeah. That's very hard to overcome because a lot of the advice is exercise, is a good thing for you, but you're in no shape to go and exercise with something like ME.
Yeah.
It's chronic fatigue syndrome. But, you know, I find in any walk of life, myself included, you'll have good days, you'll have bad days. I find personally the way I cope with the bad days is that I run a lot, and when I come back in, I'm in a completely different mindset than before. Exercise has helped me and really kept me on a right level the whole way through. I haven't been to you know, the real depths and levels that these people are at, but you know, I just go with a lot of faith and a lot of exercise.
Brilliant. What do you feed your mind with? I mean, so I read you know, some motivational stuff like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, and Brian Tracy and Les Brown, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And how important is it to feed your mind with the right stuff? Yeah,
so I'm on a theme at the moment. My day job, you know, working in the IT industry, doing the data centers, global data centers, etc. And I'm very focused on the futures of IT. So, you know, I have joined various different Parliament select committees and this type of thing, and the European Union, helping them with regulations and understanding where the future of IT, where it's all going, you know, the driverless cars, the smart cities, the Internet of Things. So I'm reading a lot of books at the moment around futures and how robots and technology and automation is going to take over your day-to-day life. And some of this stuff is fascinating because it will tell you, you know, things that before, take your phone, everybody had a stopwatch, they had a calculator, they would have maps. So you add up the cost of all these various, you'd have a phone. Now you've got it all in the one piece. They'd have a torch, for instance. And now this stuff is commoditized and it's free. As you go further into the future, that will happen with cars. You won't be paying all the insurance. You'll be using cars almost like Uber taxis that are driving around. Yeah. Your housing won't be...
I didn't pay insurance once.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I got banned for 6 months.
But, you know, building houses, there's 30% cost goes down to waste. Yeah. You won't have all of that waste. Just the technology and the way it's driving. And it makes you think about the kids and the direction they're going in and what's the best place to train them. And there's a good book by a friend of mine called Geoffrey Colvin, who is the editor for Fortune magazine. Yeah. And it's really about how in the future relationships...
He's the editor for Fortune magazine, yeah.
Yeah. It's the future will be around relationships and how you interact with people and service type jobs. Yeah. Much more than automation, things that are being automated like checkout points and this type of stuff that we're seeing now, driving and, you know, all of those will start to disappear as you get automation.
So to be successful, how important is it how important is networking? And
I mean,
and being around the right people and stuff.
That is it. Yeah, surround yourself with the positive people and the forward-thinking people, and you'll find yourself in a much better place. Definitely.
Definitely. Books. Apart from the books of the future, what are your favourite books?
Oh God, that's a good question. I'm reading a lot of that. There's a really good book, another one that Geoffrey Colvin wrote as well, which is called Talent is Overrated. And it's a very interesting book. I think you and I talked. We talked about this.
I think I've heard of that.
And it's really, you know, he'll study the likes of Serena Williams and Tiger Woods and Beethoven. Yeah. And the amount of hours that they put into practice by the time they're 15 is usually 15,000 hours more than your average person. Then they go on to become professionals, and you can't catch them because they're playing every single day. Yeah. So it's all about applying. It's what I said earlier. You know, you pick something that you've got a great interest in, whether it's violin, whether it's spellings, mathematics, whatever the case may be, and you really apply yourself, you know, in that discipline, you will come out being an expert. And I think that's going to be more and more important with this automation thing that I'm talking about. You've got to make sure you're making the right choices, because if it's, you know, a lawyer, for instance, or working in mathematics and bankers and trading, a lot of this can now be automated. So you've got to make sure you're picking the right thing going forward.
So there's no doubt, and I think there's Malcolm Gladwell that wrote a book as well, and he talked about the 10,000 hours plus or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there's that side of it where you sort of put loads of hours in, but then there's many people that will also say you do need to have certain genetics for something. Do you agree with that? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, you couldn't get a 7-foot basketball player would find it very difficult to play polo, and a 5'6" polo player would find it difficult to play
Yeah.
basketball at a very high level. So you've got to be within the realms of possibilities.
Yeah.
But, you know, could all of them play a guitar? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course they could. You know, could all of them study mathematics to a great degree? Yeah, of course they could. So it's all about choosing, you know, what you're suitable for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then applying yourself there.
And going back to the polo.
Yeah.
I seen your Facebook the other week, mate, last week.
Yeah.
You were with Prince Charles.
Yeah, well, Prince Charles is the patron for Wales polo team, and that's really where it, you know, really started to emerge for us on a global basis.
Yeah.
When you have a patron such as the Prince of Wales, you're able to secure slots like in Chicago, like in Scottsdale, and other places around the world. We're looking at Australia next year.
I'd like to secure a place for this. Yeah, we're tied up. Who's the and then you just drop names. I drop names all the time. It just opens doors, doesn't it?
Well, certainly in America, they absolutely...
Oh, they love the Royals.
They love the Royals,
They
yeah.
love them.
I mean, and it's good for us as well, because you go along as ambassadors, and you're an ambassador for the sport.
Yeah.
You link that, as I say, through the charities, etc. And then everybody's gaining. Everybody's gaining. So his help and his name and the fact that we've got the free feathers on our shirts, and he's given us the permission to use that. It's been invaluable to us, but we've used it to the good, and I hope, you know, that was certainly our conversation a couple of weeks ago was, you know, we've been using it for the good, and it's enabled us to travel and to spread the good game of polo with the side benefit of some charities there as well.
Brilliant. Prince William, he's a bit of a hot topic at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah,
and you've played with Prince William as well?
Yeah, so William and Harry both play, and are at a very good level, yeah. So they play, at this time of year in the summer, they'll be playing, you know, once or twice a month at some of the big games. And again, that's mainly focused around raising money for their charities, Centerball being one of them. And that's what we'll be doing when we head across to Chicago in a few weeks' time, playing on Lake Michigan out there. So they're using it for the good, and I think if you can do that and it benefits others, and you're giving back and you're making it accessible, hopefully we'll get more and more people taking an interest. Yeah.
And the Royals, me and you were talking off camera earlier on about the Royals, because so people actually think, what are they really like?
Yeah.
And I was saying to you, one of my friends, he used to work in Buckingham Palace as their chef, and he said they are the nicest people. And did you find that?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know one thing that was really eye-opening for me is when we went across to see Prince Charles a few weeks ago, was just the amount of work he was doing as well for the benefit of everybody. So the next morning, he was dropping a flag on a motor racing event that was going on in Llandudrey.
Yeah.
So every day he was somewhere doing 2 or 3 different things. And it's just non-stop work, and they call it Wales Week. He was in Wales for the week. And just every day, it's just amazing how busy he was. And, you know, we woke up, had some breakfast, and ventured into town. He was already there dropping the flag. So it just incredibly busy, but it's a lot of work for... And we don't always hear about it, is my point. But you heard that time because you're in the local community.
Yeah.
In London, you wouldn't hear that he's doing all these various different events unless something funny happened, or, you know, they had some space on the news. But incredibly hardworking and very gracious, and it was great that he still, you know, helps us and enables us to do the good work we're doing too.
Fantastic. And I also noticed, you know, I see, you know, I adore my son Leon. You're a brilliant dad. I can see that. You just adore your children, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they'll be getting into a bit of polo.
I don't know. Well, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. So my daughter is not sporty at all. And bless her little heart, she's just won some awards for at school for, it's like mathematics, and she's great at music. And
is that daddy's or mummy's brains?
You
better be careful with your answer now.
It really is her own. So she's a bit of an actress as well. She just played Alice in a production at FASBAT a few weeks ago, and she's really academic and into the arts. Fantastic. Whereas the son is very much into any sport. I mean, all he does every evening is he comes home, he play an hour of rugby, he play an hour of polo with the foot mallet, and an hour of football, and that's all he does. So it goes back to my point earlier. You've got to have the drive, and they've not been pushed into anything, but this is what they want to do, and that's why they've become more and more.
They enjoy it then, don't they?
Yeah, they excel
Yeah.
because they're enjoying it through enjoyment. And the trick is not to push it too hard.
Yeah.
Just to let them go at their own pace, because their own pace at the moment is far more than I see other people doing. They don't play with toys or anything else. It's all about their disciplines that they've chosen.
How important is it to praise then?
Yeah. I mean, you can see that it matters a great deal to them to get that praise and to get the... And what you'll notice as well is they follow your example.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I don't play polo for a couple of weeks and we have some downtime, he'll choose a different sport. But as soon as you go back, he will then come and follow your example. And so that shows you as a parent, you've got to make the right choices.
They watch what you do.
They mirror everything you do. So
Yeah.
if you are sitting there, you know, doing the wrong things, taking drugs, drinking all the time, smoking, etc., they will mirror your behavior.
They'll pick up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a great believer in that. So, you know, helping them and also knowing that now it's their time. You've got to invest time in them, and it can't all be about you and playing polo. You've got to invest time in the family and watch them grow and start to ease off what you're doing a little bit and put the time into them.
And it's one thing, because people have this perception of success, and everyone's got their own definition of what success is, but then some people you'll see, they just spend so much time doing their job, and then they're not successful as a dad or a mother.
Yeah, it's important to take some time out.
So it's the time that's really important.
Yeah. And, you know, if you get a chance to have a career break and a little bit of time in between, especially now in summer, and you see the families going away, that's very important to the kids as well, definitely.
Yeah. Brilliant. You mentioned your charities. What have you got coming up briefly before we
so we play Help for Heroes next week. I go this week to...
Where's that?
This coming week. Help for Heroes will be at Fifield, which is just a Fifield Polo Club, just over in Windsor, next to Windsor. This week I go across to Chicago and do some pre-press work for the beach polo that's coming up. And then September we've got the big beach polo on the shore there of Lake Michigan. That's from the 9th to the 12th. And then we play in the big polo party in Scottsdale in November as well, which is always a good break as the weather gets bad here. You hit hit some good weather, and then hopefully on to Aspen for the snow polo in December.
You're living the dream, mate. It's good, isn't it?
Bit of fun, yeah. Long may it last.
It's a bit of fun. Ricky Cooper, Wales polo captain. Great dad and an all-round great guy. Thank you very much, mate.
Mark.
It's been a real honour and a pleasure. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We've got a lot of cool people coming up. And have a great week. Bye.